Chair, we're live and we're ready when you are.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. This is a special meeting of the Cannabis Compliance Board for the state of Nevada, November 21st, 2023. Could I have a roll call, please?
Dr. Young? Present. Member Merritt? Present, great. Justice Douglas?
Present.
Vice Chair Durrett? And Chair Guzman-Fralick?
I'm present. Okay, then we have a quorum. We'll go ahead and open this meeting up for public comment. Do we have any public comment?
To provide public comment via Zoom, visit ccb.nv.gov, click the Public Meetings tab, and then select Commission Meetings. The link to the meeting can be found on today's agenda. You may also join by phone by calling 669-444-9171. Enter webinar ID 812-1392-9999, followed by the passcode 492-906. If you wish to provide public comment, click the raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen if joining by Zoom. If joining by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. Okay, Rusty Graff, go ahead. As a reminder, public comment is limited to 3 minutes. We will let you know when you have 30 seconds left of your time.
Good afternoon or good morning. This is Rusty Graff. I represent Hempire LLC in the underlying district court case. It's my understanding that this will be the only time that we'll be allowed to provide public comment regarding this issue. We've provided a correspondence to the board yesterday, and I just wanted to make sure that Chairman or Chairperson Fralick and Chief Staley and Executive Director Klemas received that.
Yes, we have received that and it has been reviewed. Thank you.
Okay, and I'd like to make it part of the record for here today. It's our position that the receivership is not appropriate, that we will appear at the hearing that is currently rescheduled for December 11th, that the issue as to the issuance of an agent card to this receiver is premature. The only issue that's presently before that court is whether or not the receivership should go forward, and that hearing is to be held on December 11th, and believe that any and all rights of the receiver and or the parties in that litigation would be served by having that hearing go forward. In addition to that, we have certain objections regarding the underlying case, but I don't think they're appropriate for this forum. The one objection that we did as to today is we received the notice or the public notice on, and I'm trying to count the days here. I believe it was December 16th, which would have been Thursday at 10:06, I believe is what the timestamp was. And our technical objection would be that this meeting does not provide the 3-day notice as required by the open meeting law of the state of Nevada. Other than that, that was our comment.
Okay, thank you. I'll have the record reflect that we have Member Young also joining us for our meeting. And if we could then now move on, if there's additional public comment.
There is no additional comment.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll go on to the matter at hand, which is item number 2 on our agenda. This is Kevin Singer's application for a cannabis establishment agent registration card for a cannabis receiver as court-appointed receiver for the Hempire Company LLC in the 8th Judicial District Court case number 823-880-387-B. If we could have staff give us a summary, and also if I could ask about that the file stamp that Mr. Graff mentioned in his comments. Just quickly, just give me an idea as to what that means. There's some paper that got stamped, received on a certain date. Does that have an impact on what we're talking about today?
Good morning, Chair Tony Garassi, Senior Deputy Attorney General. I will give you the update, but I will let the open meeting law DAG respond about the open meeting law notice. I believe she is on. Chrissy, if you are on, I'll let you address that first.
Unmute. Good morning, everyone. Chrissy Dag Harris for the record. So the reference that he's making to as far as the 3-day notice is separate from the notice, I believe, giving them awareness that their character, professionalism, etc., might be discussed. I don't think that was. I do not recall any issues as far as the notice requirement. It's to my understanding, the 3-day notice only applies towards relative to this meeting, as far as the public is concerned. So as long as we have a record that that's being abided by, I don't see the issue that Mr. Graff has posed.
Okay, thank you. And the only issue we have before us is whether Mr. Singer is qualified.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. Again, Tony Garassi, Senior Deputy Attorney General, be presenting the receiver application under agenda item 2. Item 2 concerns the application for cannabis receiver card for Mr. Kevin Singer to be placed as a receiver over the Hempire Company LLC and its 4 cannabis licenses. In brief, this receivership has been ordered by the 8th Judicial District Court, Judge Mark Denton, after a complaint was filed by one of Hempire's creditors. Judge Denton approved creditor NVCHI Holdings LLC's ex parte application to appoint a receiver and for a temporary restraining order on November 6, 2023, and subsequently an amended order was later filed on November 16th. The licensee has now been made aware of both the original order and the amended order. NVCHI's complaint alleging breach of contract and seeking the appointment of receiver and for other declaratory relief was filed on October 26, 2023. The ex parte application to appoint a receiver was then filed on November 1st. The court heard the ex parte application on November 6th and granted the request subject to the CCB's approval of Mr. Singer's application for the cannabis receiver agent card. As the application was filed ex parte, no response to the application was filed by Hempire prior to the ruling. Subsequent to the order, but prior to today's meeting, NVCHI's counsel and Hempire's counsel submitted a stipulation, which Judge Denton signed and filed on November 16th, which modified the original order, extended the terms of the TRO based on express consent of the adverse party pursuant to NRCP 65, and the subsequent amended order of the appointment of Mr. Singer incorporated language from that stipulation, but did not change the appointment of the receiver, nor did it condition that the appointment be anything other than subject to CCB's approval. All interested parties, including the licensee's counsel, have been notified of this board agenda item and are present. Mr. Singer's application has been provided in the board materials. CCB staff have confirmed that Mr. Singer has completed all the application requirements in the SELA, and should the board approve the application, a temporary agent card could be issued to him immediately thereafter. Finally, as Mr. Graff advised, last night CCB received correspondence from Hempire's counsel objecting to today's agenda item and requesting that the board refrain from hearing the application until after a December 11th status check in front of Judge Denton and District Court. That objection has been provided as part of the board materials as well. To my understanding, Mr. Singer is present today along with his counsel, Mr. John Savage. They can answer any questions that you have. Also, Mr. Graff is present on behalf of Hempire, and he is available for questions, as am I.
Thank you. Mr. Singer, do you have a presentation for us? We have Mr. Oh, yeah, we do. Okay.
My apologies, Kevin Singer, the
Good morning.
appointed court receiver. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. It just took a minute or two to get into the meeting, so I appreciate that. I don't have any presentation. You know, I've completed my application. The judge has appointed me already. You know, there's a signed court order in place appointing me, and once I get my my approval from the CCB, I'm ready to assume my duties and start enforcing that that court order. Obviously, as this board knows, I work with both the plaintiffs and the defendants, and you know, I look forward to working with Mr. Graff on this case.
Thank you, Mr. Singer. And we're familiar with your qualifications as we've done this before. Mr. Savage, do you have anything to add?
You, Chair Guzman Freilich, and members of the board, John Savage, on behalf of proposed receiver Kevin Singer. Just briefly, I think it's already been addressed, but I just wanted to again state for the record that the decision as to whether a receiver should be appointed is within the jurisdiction of the district court, and the Honorable Mark Denton of Department 13 ordered Mr. Singer to be appointed here, subject to the board's approval of his agent card application. In other words, whether Mr. Singer's qualifications satisfy the board. And Hempire seems to be improperly asking the board to reconsider the district court's order after stipulating to extend the district court's temporary restraining order, continuing the preliminary injunction hearing that was set for yesterday, November 20th. Hempire wanted the court to consider any objections to the receiver's appointment before today's meeting. He should have kept yesterday's hearing on the court's calendar as scheduled and made those arguments to the court. Proposed NCCR 5.175 subparagraph 8, which was approved by the board at last week's meeting, although not yet effective, provides that unless exigent circumstances exist, in situations in which interested parties dispute whether a cannabis establishment should be placed into a receivership, the board will defer to the findings of a competent jurisdiction on the issue as to whether a receivership is appropriate for the cannabis establishment at issue. And this proposed regulation is consistent with NRS 678B 355, subparagraphs 2E, set forth the qualifications that are required for a cannabis receiver. Mr. Singer has submitted his application satisfying those requirements. And subparagraph 3 of this statute provides that if the board determines the applicant is qualified to receive a cannabis establishment agent registration card, the board shall issue to the person a cannabis establishment agent registration card for cannabis receiver. So that is the situation that we have here. We are only here today for the board to determine whether Mr. Singer is qualified to receive a cannabis receiver agent card. The board approved Mr. Singer's qualifications to hold a receiver agent card for Greenleaf Farm Holdings less than 1 month ago at the board's October 24th meeting. Similar objections to his appointment on substantive basis were raised last month. The board properly concluded, and the chair properly noted this morning, that the question of appointment was not before the board, but only Mr. Singer's qualifications. Mr. Singer's qualifications have not changed since last month, and so we are respectfully requesting the board to determine that he is still qualified to hold a cannabis receiver agent card today. Thank you. unless the board has any questions, I have nothing further.
Member Douglas, for the record, do you know off the top of your head how many prior approvals Mr. Singh has received as a receiver, just roughly?
Yes, 3 prior approvals. From my recollection, the Harvest, Greenleaf, and Green Cross of America, I believe, were the prior 3.
And thank you for noting that we had just approved him previously.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, any questions for Mr. Singer or Mr. Savage from the board? Okay, hearing none, then we'll bring it back to the board for deliberation and decision. And I just want to reiterate, Mr. Savage, what you stated with regard to our duty here under NRS 678B.355 is that we shall issue the agent registration if that individual has checked all of the boxes under that subsection of the statute. And Mr. Singer definitely checks all of the boxes. And so by statute and regulation, then we shall issue the agent card. And with that, if anybody has any additional comments or concerns from the board, otherwise I'm prepared to hear a motion.
Member Douglas, for the record, a motion that Mr. Singer be appointed as a receiver in the case that presently is before us. That would
Have
be-
a motion. Do we have a second?
This Member Young, I'll second that.
Have a second?
Thank you. We have multiple motions here, Dr. Young and Member Merritt. Any discussion on the motion?
Member Douglas, as the chair outlined, our only responsibility this day is not as the underlying proceeding so much as to appoint a receiver pursuant to our relative statutes. The rest is for the district court to deal with.
Any additional comments? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Singer and Mr. Savage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck to
Good
you.
luck. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that leads us to our second public comment. Do we have any public comment?
If you wish to provide public comment, click the raise hand icon at the bottom of your screen if joining by Zoom. If joining by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand. There's no public comment.
Thank you. And with that, we adjourn the special meeting of the CCB. Thank you all. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Have a
Happy
great holiday.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Yep.
Bye. Bye.